Just checking, make sure everything's going on, make sure we can see everybody. We've got some people watching. Cool. Looks like, yep, we're up. So, good evening and welcome to another one of my NTX BJJ sessions. So, this is the one I've been really looking forward to. As you may or may not know, freediving is actually what I do for a living. I teach freediving, and in particular, I teach a very soft approach to freediving. And freediving, for those of you who don't know what freediving is, it's breath hold diving, so it's holding your breath and swimming around underwater. We actually categorize it as moving efficiently underwater on a single breath of air. However you use that skill, some people do it for spearfishing and or exploration, etc. But that's what I teach in the daytime when I'm not rolling. So I was actually really, the first thing that people asked me to talk about actually was breathing and how it can help with BJJ. I've done a few sessions, I've done a few seminars at jiu-jitsu academies talking about breath work to help with jiu-jitsu. So I was really, this is the one I was really looking forward to. As you may or may not know, I live in London and we've just gone into tier 3, which means any academies that were kind of opening have just started closing again. So we're not rolling very much in London. So I'm not gonna roll until next year, which may have put back a couple of my filming projects a little bit, but oh well. I've got some plans for January and February to do some jiu-jitsu videos before then. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to go through 5 things you need to know about breathing to help your jiu-jitsu. Okay, so that's 5 things to help. Let's start again. 5 breathing techniques. No, 5 things you know, because they're not all techniques. They're 5 things you need to know about breathing that will help your jiu-jitsu. Okay, so and they kind of go in order of relevance. If you hang around to number one is the most powerful thing that you can incorporate into your game that will seriously change your game. Okay, so let's just start at the kind of opener and ended part of it. Breathing for offense. Okay, so there are some things you can do with breathing as an offense. So if you've watched any of my streams before, you'll know that I train quite a lot with Enrique Jr., who's at one of the main professors at Roger Gracie's academy. Okay, so and if anybody's been there and met Junior, you know he's a big guy. And he, obviously being a high-level professional jiu-jitsu player, he can use his weight well. And he quite often, just because it's me, will stop me breathing. Okay, so he doesn't just lay on my chest. I mean, he could. He's got his balance and his strength and his weight. He could use it to just stop me breathing. But what he'll do is he'll just put enough weight on my chest, so my chest can't move, and then put a little bit of weight on my belly, because they're the 2 parts that need to move to allow us to breathe. But he'll just put enough weight that it's more comfortable if I breathe out. So it's a little bit like I've been attacked by a cat. Go away, cat. It's a little bit like a boa constrictor. He'll put just enough weight that when I breathe out, it's a little bit of a relief from the pressure, and then he'll stay there. And I can't actually breathe in anymore. And then I'll breathe out a little bit more. And either that, or he'll bend me in such a way that he can put pressure on my body to stop me breathing. Okay. Now, this is an offense affecting the other person's breathing. And it's if you've got a balance, if you've got the skills, it's really good, because the person who's doing the work, so in this case it's Junior, he's not doing anything. He's not using much strength. He's not using, he's not wasting any energy. He's using his weight to slowly stop me breathing. And it's going to make me do something. I'm going to put an arm out. I'm going to do something, and that's when he can kind of attack. So bear this in mind. If you're on top or if you're on the side of a position, you can really disrupt somebody's breathing. I mean, we're not talking about the MMA breathing disruption that you see in loads of fights, and they'll just put their hand over the other person's mouth, and it really is like quite claustrophobic, especially in the middle of a fight. You're breathing hard and they just disrupt the other person. We're not talking about MMA disrupting and breathing. We're talking about soft jiu-jitsu. Okay, so you can disrupt their breathing. But equally well, you can use, and somebody taught me this really early on, I can use my breathing as an offense on other people. So let me grab my BJJ buddy. Okay, so if, for instance, I've got a kind of a choke going on. Okay, it's a bit big for a choke, but if I'm choking the person, however it's a bit that works. So I've got a choke going on, and the person's kind of here. I am trying to create the gap between my arms. I'm trying to make it smaller, okay, by using my hands, by using my arms, but I can also use my breathing. So somebody once showed me this really early on, and I use it all the time. You got a choke on, so here I've got a rear naked choke going on this pillow, okay, and I can breathe in, and you can see I'm trying to get the angle right here. That's powerful, okay. I'm not using my arms. My arms might be burnt, but I can use my breath to create more of a squeeze. So got it locked in. I'm using my core muscles, and then on top of that, you can see it kind of moving forward there. It works on chokes. Works on quite a lot of chokes. Okay, where you're in and you can breathe. And be aware that whenever you breathe in, your body expands. Yeah. Hang on. Oh. Sorry about that. Cat interruption. So whenever you breathe in, your body expands. Whenever you breathe out, your body contracts. And this is exactly what Junior uses when he's on top of me. That when I breathe out, I contract. He goes with that contraction and then locks, so I can't expand again. Okay. You can also use, so that's number one. Think about breathing as an offense, or having an offense against their breathing. Okay. Number two, defense. So you can use your breathing as a defense. For instance, if somebody puts their knee on belly and their knee on your belly, you can lock your belly by holding your breath. Now, I wouldn't suggest you kind of lock it like this, but you can lock your stomach muscles. But if you breathe in and hold your breath, you can also give your body more stability. Okay? And this knee on belly is a good example, because you know the pressure is quite kind of concentrated. But try it next time somebody's on top of you. Okay, whether in side control is another great one, where they're really squishing you. Then bump and breathe in, and then hold. It gives your body a little bit more structure that you can hold them off, just a little bit higher. But bear in mind, I said when you breathe in, you increase size. When you breathe out, you decrease size. So if you can bump, frame, and then breathe in and frame with your body, you can always breathe out and create a space. Okay? And there's quite a few escapes where I've actually seen, I've either seen it or I've kind of mentioned, hey, have you thought about this? When you're struggling and fighting away, it's quite easy to kind of get carried away and kind of, but actually breathing out might give you the space to pummel or move yourself around. So breathing, just the physical mechanics of breathing you can use for defense, either by breathing in and locking to create a structure or by breathing out to create space. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. So that's number 5. Did I count backwards or forwards? I can't remember. Number 5, using breathing as an offense or attacking their breathing as an offense. Number 2, defense. Either to create space or to create. Both of them are creating space, actually. So if you're underneath, you're creating space by being big, or if you create space by moving your body out of the way. I don't know. So use breathing to create space as a defense. Okay. So number 3. Okay. Backwards. So that's 4. So number 3. People always say this when we're rolling or we're just getting changed before a jiu-jitsu session, and what do you do for a living? I do freediving. Oh, I bet you can hold your breath for a long time. That's what I always say. And then they follow up, because it's in a jiu-jitsu scenario, I bet I'll have trouble choking you out. It doesn't make any difference, okay? So a choke is when you're cutting off the blood supply to the brain. Doesn't matter how long I can hold my breath. And to be fair, if it's a decent choke, you put pressure on the carotid arteries, cutting off the blood supply to the brain, you can still breathe. You can still breathe. There's no interruption of the breath. Most of the time there is, because there's a lot of pressure on your neck. But in theory, you can still breathe, but you'll still black out. You're still going to go out. Okay, so being able to hold your breath doesn't help with jiu-jitsu. Okay, apart from where I've mentioned that you can kind of bolster your size. Holding your breath doesn't help with jiu-jitsu. Okay, but what does help, and what makes a massive difference to my game, is awareness of my breath. So I'll talk about the 2 massive reasons or massive skills, techniques that you want to incorporate into your game that will change your game. I'll talk about them in a minute. But they both start with awareness. In fact, all of them start with awareness. If you're going to use it for defense, you need to be aware of your breathing. If you're going to use it for defense, did I say defense or offense? For offense and defense, you're going to need to be aware of your breathing. So the one thing I have got out of freediving, unequivocally, it's not the breath hold, it's the awareness. And I challenge you, next time you do some training, doesn't matter whether it's solo training, doesn't matter whether it's physical training, cardio training, or if you're rolling with a buddy, I challenge you to bring your awareness to your breath. Just think about it. All right? Whether you're working hard and fast, and you're playing on top and you're moving around, no gi, loads of movement going on, bring your awareness to your breath. Just do it. I'm not going to say just for a second, just your ability to be aware of your breath. It will blow your mind. It won't be what you expect. If you're underneath and somebody's squishing you, bring your awareness to your breath. Because again, it will blow your mind. It will change the way you see the positions that you're in. Okay. Now, what to do with your awareness of your breath. Now, the first 2 techniques, ideas, concepts, were quite solid, quite kind of forceful. Okay, so that's why I separated them with breath awareness And I say, I challenge you next time you're doing something. And if you really want to take this to the next level, write out a list of the exercises you're doing, whether it's solo drills, technique, okay, or just technique drills, cardio work, rolling, or drilling. And I think they're pretty much my main 4 kind of categories of training. And try and bring your awareness to each of those. In each of those sessions, just bring your awareness to it. Okay? Bring your awareness to your breath. And it will really, really tell you loads of information. I'm not going to tell you what you're going to feel, okay? Because I'm going to have to give you a list where you might feel this, or you might feel this, or you might feel this, or you might feel this. I'm not going to tell you that. Just do it. Go back to your list and write it down. So just a few words about how you felt about your breath during cardio workout, technique workout, rolling and drilling. And I'll tell you now, it'll make a big difference. But how can we use these? So the most important, the 2 most important techniques that you can master with your breath starts with the awareness. So this is how you use your breath awareness. Okay. Now, you need to be able to control your breath. When you can, the yogics will tell you that the breath is a silken thread with which we control the entire body. So you can learn to control your breath, whether it's between rolls, whether it's between sessions or whatever. Imagine a competition, you're rolling, you're going real hard, you are going full on. This is a competition time, and ref says stop, reset. You've got 10 seconds to get from the side of the mat to stand up. You might even bet more. You might say straighten your geese. That gives you 30 seconds. What are you doing in those 30 seconds? What are you doing in those 10 seconds or 30 seconds? If you control your breath, you're resetting your entire body. Your body needs oxygen, and if you're breathing badly, you're not going to get the oxygen your muscle needs. Your brain also needs. But use those 30 seconds when the ref says straighten your geese. Use those 30 seconds to concentrate on your breathing, be aware of it, and control it, reset it. Because that is how you control and reset your mind and your body. And what else are you going to do for those 30 seconds? The very most your coach is going to say, try doing the such and such, try doing that. But you already know that because he's your coach. He's going to tell you that takes a second. What else are you going to do apart from tying your gi, which you know how to tie your gi? You don't need to think about it. You need to move to the center of the mat. You don't need to think about it. But what you can do is close your eyes or half close your eyes and start to control your breathing. How would I suggest you control your breathing? With 20 years of teaching people how to breathe for sports, breathe in for 5 and breathe out for a count of 10. That's it. Doesn't matter what a 5 or a 10 is, and I'm not saying seconds, I'm not saying heartbeats. 5 in and 10 out. Okay? This is between rolls or between, when you're not actually doing something, to grab control of your breathing. Breathe in for 5 and out for 10. That's it. Within 3 breaths or 4 breaths, you will notice a difference between the breath being out of control and breath being vaguely in control. I'm not going to say fully control because I don't know what it rolls like. You might be full on. But you'll be surprised as you practice this. If you practice this in training, on competition, if you practice it, I'd say 2 or 3 months during your training, you will be able to get your breathing back under control within 3 or 4 breaths. Just think of that. 30 seconds to reset in a competition, and you can get your control of your breath back. And if you can get your control of your breath back, I'm telling you, you're going to roll better. Yeah. How many times have you watched a fight where the commentator, Joe Rogan or whoever it is there going, oh, they're breathing heavy at the moment. Oh, they just kind of subconsciously mention it. Oh, you can tell that they're struggling, they're breathing hard. Okay. Now, this is A, true, okay, and B, subconsciously, you know this about your opponent. Well, just to think, if you were rucking, really pushing hard, both you're sweating, knackered, and rest says, stop, reset, tighten your gears, and then you start again, and he's cool as a cucumber. And you go, whoa, he's cool as a cucumber. You'll notice you want to be that one where your opponent is like, whoa, he's not even out of breath. Well, maybe he is out of breath, but he's just controlling it. All right. So control your breath is insanely powerful. Okay. So next up, and this is what I think is the most powerful tool in your breathing toolbox, jiu-jitsu breathing toolbox. Breathe through the nose. Okay. There's 147 reasons why you should breathe through your nose. I'm not going to list them now. In fact, I've got books. The Art of Breathing, Meditation, Light on Pranayama, Science of Breath. I've got books and books and books and books and books about breathing. Okay? Science of breathing. I'm going to suggest you guys buy this book, The Oxygen Advantage. Okay? It's really good. There's a lot in it. Okay, some of it's not quite as I would teach it. Pretty much all of it is diamond. Okay, so there's 147 reasons, and the Oxygen Advantage lists maybe 10 of them. Some of the other books, list the others. For instance, the blood vessels that take the blood around the body, which allows oxygen from the lungs to get to every organ in the body. Okay, they constrict. Okay, and you want them to dilate. You want them to get bigger, and this happens when your body produces something called nitric oxide. Not nitrous oxide. That's something else. Nitric oxide, and that is produced in the sinuses. So if you breathe through your nose, you pick up the nitric oxide and it goes into the body and opens up the blood vessels, all of the blood vessels, allowing the blood to flow better. So that's just one of the reasons why you want to breathe through your nose. Okay? And the second one, and this is the kicker, if you, and I've mentioned this on a couple of the other live streams. If you breathe through your mouth, okay, you have lost control, and the subconscious brain knows this, okay? So it goes into fight or flight mode, okay? So this can be good, okay? It can be good. If you're running a race and it's the bit of a race, you want to put everything into it. If you're in a fight, in a competition, okay, you want to put everything into it. Okay, so breathing through the mouth triggers the fight or flight, and there's no control. But if you're training, going into fight or flight, your body, your subconscious will not learn anything. You cannot teach your body stuff when you're in fight or flight mode. The body is just surviving. So if you can keep breathing through your nose during training, You want to be right on the edge, so you're working hard enough that it's tough to breathe through your nose, but you don't want to be working too hard to force you to breathe through your mouth. Then you're learning. The body is learning what you want it to do. You're teaching the body. This is the level that or rather, you're teaching the body. That you're working at a level that you don't want the body to panic. You want the body to keep working logically. That's it. Equally well. So if you're rolling and the other person starts breathing through the mouth, you know they've just gone over that edge. All right. Try breathing through it. And I, for a good year of my training, I would instantly count as a loss, the same as a tap, if I breathe through my mouth. It was the same as a tap. I wanted to stay under that level, and now it's built into my rolling. It's efficient. It's where your body works well at. It can cope with the amount of work you're demanding of it, and therefore you're going to get stronger. If you have a deviated septum and breathe through your mouth, that's not good. Would you say it's the same, or they have adapted to be a filthy mouth breather? Well, weirdly enough, that comment of filthy mouth, this is Ted, by the way. It's just, if you can't see the comments, Ted's just put a comment up saying if you've got deviated septum and breathe through your mouth, it's not good. Okay. I'm surprised if you there's many questions. There's loads of questions. There's too many questions in that. Like, has a doctor seen it? Was it set by a doctor, etc., etc. Filthy mouth breather. It is a kind of common slur, I suppose, about people with lesser intelligence breathe through their mouth. It's a common kind of, but that's not kind of what we're talking about. Okay, we're talking about the physical and physiological effects of breathing through the mouth rather than nose. Okay. So Ted messaged me, and I'll go into a lot more detail about that. You can't actually adapt out of the 147 things that happen when you breathe through your mouth, through your nose, not through your mouth. You can't change them. Okay. You can reprogram the body so that if you're breathing through your mouth, you're not triggering the fight or flight. You can reprogram that. It takes a lot, okay? Because you've got to teach your body what the trigger is, okay? So you've got to rework it. So Ted, please message me privately, and we can go through a little bit more detail. For the purposes of this live stream, gain control of your breathing is just, one of those two main important things, and breathe through your nose. Okay, and I say I count it as a loss, as a tap, same as a tap. If somebody makes me breathe through my mouth, I've lost control of my breathing, and therefore I'm not working well physiologically. Okay. If it's a competition class and I want to leave it all on the mat, then I will make a choice. Okay, it's a 2-hour lesson, 2-hour session, and okay, at 20 minutes towards the end, that's when I want to be able to control it until then, and then I'm just going to leave it on the mat. The last 20 minutes, I'm going to go, and I kind of allow myself to not learn in that particularly and just push. So it's a physical kind of stress, physical stress. So we have literally run out of time. So hopefully you guys get something out of it. Yes, you can message me and ask me questions. There was a couple of questions I was meant to be answering that weren't related to this, that some people put up. I'll talk about it next week, don't worry. But thanks a lot for joining us. Please share this. Please, kind of tell people about it. Share it. subscribe if you want. But I'm also available as of 2021. I'm going to be doing a lot more traveling, a lot more than 2020. And so if you want a seminar, we can go through breathing, or I go through breathing with you in a lot more detail about how you use it, how you can breathe better and more beneficially for you, both in jiu-jitsu and in general life. It's what I do. I've been teaching breathing and relaxation for 20 years now, and it really does have a massive effect on jiu-jitsu. So thanks a lot for joining us, and hopefully see you next Wednesday. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so West Side. I was literally saying my goodbyes. That's just about to do my big hand wave, and West Side said, I've been running and nose breathing for a few weeks. I find that my nose runs a lot. Does it stop eventually? Yes and no. As your body reconfigures the way it breathes, it will stop the running of the nose, not the running of your body, nose running, unless it's triggered by something else, like, for instance, you're running in cold air, which is then that's a physiological response to the cold rather than the nasal breathing. So when you say your nose runs a lot, does it say you run for half hour? Kind of have write down afterwards whether it runs at the beginning, in the middle, in the end, or the whole time. Okay, and then you can start working out why it's running. Okay, if it is just because of nasal breathing, it can happen. It will stop because your body reconfigures for that. Again, ping me a message if you want, and we'll go into a little bit more detail about that. But thanks for the question. That's it. Hopefully see you next week. Message me, Facebook message me. If you want me to come to your gym next year, let me know.